Let's bring in Michael Vigil. He is the former chief of international operations at the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and he joins us now from Albuquerque in New Mexico. Michael, we just heard Lucia there talk about the ongoing security crisis. How did Ecuador end up here? How did it disintegrate so quickly?
Well, in 2016, Colombia signed a peace accord with the Armed Revolutionary Forces of Colombia, the FARC, which created a void in southern Colombia and then also in Ecuador. And immediately you had organized crime networks trying to take control of that void. For example, you had Albanian groups that helped the FARC move cocaine from South America into Europe. You also had proxies belonging to the Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco New Generation cartel of Mexico. So all of a sudden, you had an ongoing war for control, especially of the routes through Ecuador into the port cities of Guayaquil and Esmeraldas, which were used to move cocaine into the United States, into Asia, into Europe. And then you had Rafael Correa that made very significant blunders. In 2016, he also closed down the U.S. military base in Manta, Ecuador, and then shut off any type of cooperation with the Drug Enforcement Administration. Later, you had a major earthquake in Ecuador, and Ecuador sent in military forces, first responders, into the Pacific side of that country, where most of the organized crime groups were concentrated. So then all of a sudden they scattered like cockroaches throughout Ecuador. And now you have an ongoing cycle of violence, but it's primarily driven by the cocaine drug trade because Ecuador is in a very strategic location. It's nestled between Colombia and Peru, which are the two biggest cocaine-producing countries in the world.
Indeed. Noboa, ahead of this election, was quoting a remarkable statistic. He says 70% of the world's cocaine passes through Ecuador's ports. I know that you yourself have previously spoken about the danger of Ecuador becoming a failed state. It looked like things were improving under Noboa, but 781 murders, I believe, in January, that's a record, right? What's your assessment of his approach?
It's a record. I think Noboa is taking the iron fist approach. I know that he's been talking to experts in Europe, also in Mexico and what have you, to try to develop a strategy to counter all of this violence. Noboa was only in office about 16 months, so he really hasn't had enough time to deal with this, but it's going to take a lot of effort because, again, you know, the country's location, and then you have Ecuador that has a dollarized economy, which is attractive to money laundering. And then Ecuador has a very limited ability to monitor the various air, sea, and land drug routes in and out of the country. So there's many things that need to be done. And I think Noboa is going to be victorious in this election. And he's doing the right thing. He's asking for outside help, and I think he's going to get it, but he's going to need some time to combat this problem.
The outside help that you're referring to there, he is an ally of U.S. President Donald Trump, and I believe also quite cozy with Eric Prince, the founder of Blackwater. He has been talking about a foreign troop deployment on Ecuadorian soil. How realistic is that?
Well, I think with, you know, as long as they can put a military base there to help them with equipment, they're going to need radar They're going to need underground sensors to control the borders. But, they're also going to need assistance from the DEA, which is going to be very critical in helping them stem the flow of drugs into the country, and then also train their police and their national security forces. They're also going to need to pass legislation that would also assist in this effort.
Michael Vigil there, the former Chief of International Operations at the DEA. Thank you so much for joining us on the Al Jazeera NewsHour, sir.
Thank you.